When I first met Henry, he was everything I ever dreamed of in a partner: charming, supportive, and full of promises about the life we'd build together. His family seemed warm and welcoming, and I imagined a future filled with love and shared goals. But that dream began to crumble the moment we got married. I still remember the day Henry came home with the idea that I should leave my job. "Claire," he said, sitting me down with what he probably thought was a kind smile, "it's time we focus on building a family. Your job is too stressful. You should be home, taking care of things here." I hesitated. I loved my job, it gave me purpose and independence, but Henry insisted, and soon, his mother and sisters began chiming in. "It's what's best for the family," his mother said firmly. "A wife's place is at home." I gave in, believing Henry's assurances that this was temporary. But the weeks turned into months, and soon I found myself trapped in a life I didn't recognize. Every day became a never-ending cycle of chores. Cleaning, cooking, serving his parents and siblings. I couldn't even sit at the table to eat. I was expected to stand by and serve everyone else. I didn't sign up for this, I thought to myself countless times, but voicing those thoughts only led to arguments. "You're ungrateful," Henry would snap. "This is how families work. Stop being selfish." But the breaking point came when I overheard his younger brother, Daniel, talking to their mother one evening. "I can't believe you let Claire do all this," Daniel said, his voice sharp. "She left her career for this? Henry shouldn't be okay with this." His words struck a chord in me, but I didn't dare say anything at the time. After all, I had nowhere to turn. The isolation became unbearable. I had no income, no independence, and no one to talk to. Henry's family treated me as nothing more than a servant, and Henry, well, he was no longer the man I thought I married. I spent nights crying quietly, wondering if this was all there was to my life now. Little did I know, Daniel's words would soon set off a chain of events that would change everything. "Claire," Daniel said one day when the family was out. "I need to talk to you." His expression was serious, and for a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. "What is it?" I asked hesitantly. "I don't think this is right, the way they're treating you. I've seen it, and I can't stay quiet anymore." My heart pounded as I listened to him. For the first time, someone had acknowledged my struggles. And that was the beginning of my fight to reclaim my life. Daniel's words lingered in my mind for days. I didn't know how to process them. Someone in this family, my husband's family, had actually seen through the facade and acknowledged my pain. One evening, Daniel found me in the kitchen, elbows deep in soapy water. He placed a cup of tea on the counter and leaned against the wall, his brow furrowed. "Claire," he started, his voice low, "can I ask you something?" I nodded, unsure where this was going. "Why haven't you told Henry how you feel about all of this?" He gestured vaguely, as if the oppressive weight of my situation hung in the air. I laughed bitterly, drying my hands on a dish towel. "You think I haven't tried? Henry's made it clear where his priorities lie. This isn't my life anymore, it's theirs. I'm just part of the furniture." Daniel's face darkened. "That's not right," he said, shaking his head. "It's not supposed to be this way. Look, Claire, I know it's not my place, but you don't deserve this. None of it." His words were kind, but they stung. I didn't need another reminder of how far I'd fallen. "What am I supposed to do, Daniel? I don't have a job, no savings. I have nothing to my name." My voice cracked, and I quickly turned away to hide the tears welling up in my eyes. Daniel hesitated before speaking again. "You're stronger than you think, Claire. And you have more options than you realize. You just need someone to remind you of that." Over the next few weeks, Daniel became an unlikely ally. He found small ways to lighten my load, helping with chores when no one was looking or deflecting their constant demands. "Why do you care so much?" I asked him one day, genuinely curious. He hesitated, then shrugged. "Because I've seen what this family can do to people. And you're different. You deserve better." His words planted a seed of something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. One day, while I was cleaning the living room, Daniel walked in with a worn envelope in his hand. "What's this?" I asked, confused. "Open it," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. Inside was a job posting, a position at a local nonprofit organization. It wasn't glamorous, but it was something. "I don't have the confidence to apply," I admitted, feeling the familiar weight of doubt pressing down on me. "Then let me help you," Daniel said firmly. "You're capable, Claire. you just need to believe it. With Daniel's encouragement, I secretly began working on my application. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of purpose. But as I started to rebuild my confidence, I also became more aware of how toxic my environment truly was. One evening, as I sat down to dinner with Henry's family, his mother made an offhand comment that nearly shattered me. "Claire, don't forget your place. You're here because we allow it," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. I clenched my fists under the table, feeling a surge of anger. For the first time, I wanted to fight back, not just for myself, but for the life I deserved. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of a confrontation that would change everything. The storm that had been brewing inside me finally erupted the day I overheard Henry and his mother talking in the living room. I had been cleaning the hallway when their voices, sharp and cutting, reached my ears. "She's a burden, Henry," his mother hissed. "Claire brings nothing to this family, no money, no status, why do we keep her around?" My heart twisted as I waited for Henry to defend me. To my shock, his response was even worse. "She won't leave because she has nowhere to go," he said coldly. "She's stuck here, and that works for me. Someone has to take care of you and Dad." It was like a knife to the chest. My own husband, the man who had vowed to love and protect me, saw me as nothing more than a convenience. That evening, I sat alone in the tiny room they called my space, staring at the job application I had completed with Daniel's help. His words echoed in my mind, "You're capable, you just need to believe it." I realized then that staying in this house was a choice. They could only hold power over me if I let them. With shaking hands, I sent the application. The moment I hit submit, it felt like a small weight had lifted from my shoulders. The next day, Daniel noticed a change in me. "You're standing taller," he said with a grin. "I finally did it," I told him. "I applied for the job." He beamed. "That's amazing, Claire, you're taking back control of your life." For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of pride. But the family was not blind to the shift in my demeanor. Henry's mother grew suspicious, her sharp eyes watching my every move. "What are you up to, Claire?" she asked one morning, her tone dripping with accusation. "Nothing you'd care about," I replied, surprising even myself with the firmness in my voice. Her glare could have cut through steel. "Don't forget who holds the power here," she snapped. But her words no longer had the same effect. I was done being a victim. Days turned into weeks, and I heard nothing about the job. Doubts began to creep in, but Daniel reassured me. "Good things take time," he said, "just keep believing in yourself." Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. It was an email from the nonprofit organization. My hands trembled as I opened it. "We're pleased to invite you for an interview," it read. The next challenge was getting to the interview without anyone finding out. Henry and his mother controlled my schedule so tightly that sneaking away seemed impossible, but Daniel came to the rescue once again. "I'll cover for you," he said, "whatever it takes. You're going to that interview." The morning of the interview, I dressed in the best clothes I could find, trying to ignore the fact that they were years out of style. Daniel gave me a thumbs up as I slipped out the door. The interview was nerve-wracking, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. The interviewer, a kind woman named Lisa, seemed genuinely impressed by my answers. As I left the building, I felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change. When I returned home, however, Henry's mother was waiting for me. "Where were you?" she demanded, her voice icy. "Out," I said simply, meeting her gaze with a steadiness that surprised us both. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't think you can defy me, Claire. This is my house, and you live here on my terms." But I didn't feel fear this time. I felt something else entirely, defiance. I didn't know it then, but my small act of rebellion had set the stage for a confrontation that would finally break my chains. A week later, I was helping Daniel prepare lunch in the kitchen when my phone buzzed. It was a call from the nonprofit organization. "Claire, we were very impressed with your interview," said Lisa, the woman who had interviewed me. "We'd like to offer you the position." I nearly dropped the phone. Tears filled my eyes as I stammered out a thank you. After months of feeling powerless, I finally had a way out. Daniel saw my expression and broke into a grin. "You got the job, didn't you?" I nodded, unable to speak, and he pulled me into a warm hug. That evening, I knew I had to tell Henry. My heart pounded as I waited for him to come home. He walked through the door, looking as disinterested as ever, but when I told him about the job, his face twisted into a sneer. "You think you're going to work?" he scoffed. "Not in this house." "I'm not asking for your permission, Henry," I said firmly. "I've already accepted the offer." His mother, who had overheard, stormed into the room. "You ungrateful girl," she shouted. "After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" All you've done is treat me like a servant, I shot back, my voice shaking with emotion. But not anymore. I'm done living like this. The argument escalated, with both Henry and his mother hurling insults at me, but for the first time, their words didn't hurt. I had found my strength, and I wasn't going to let them take it away. When I refused to back down, Henry's mother delivered her final blow. If you leave, you'll never be welcome here again. I met her glare with a steady gaze. That's fine by me. The next day, Daniel helped me pack my things. He insisted on driving me to the new apartment the nonprofit had arranged for me. You're going to be amazing, Claire, he said as we loaded the last box into his car. Tears streamed down my face as I hugged him. Thank you, Daniel, for everything. Moving into the small, humble apartment felt like stepping into a new life. It wasn't luxurious, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. The job was challenging, but fulfilling. I spent my days helping women who had faced hardships similar to mine, and in doing so, I found healing. Months passed, and I thrived in my new life. Then, one day, I received an unexpected visitor, Henry. He looked thinner, more tired than I remembered. Claire, he said, his voice trembling, I made a mistake, please come back. I stared at him, feeling a strange mix of pity and triumph. You didn't just make a mistake, Henry, I said, you destroyed what we had, and I've moved on. As I closed the door on him, I felt a sense of closure. The woman who had been too afraid to stand up for herself was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who had reclaimed her life. That night, I sat in my little apartment, thinking about how far I had come. My phone buzzed with a message from Daniel. Proud of you, sis. For the first time in years, I smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. I was free.